The drywall of the universe was peeling, and Wade Wilson was the only one who could smell the damp rot underneath. The air in rural North Ohio didn't just smell like manure and old asphalt. It smelled like the crushing weight of a failed career and the stagnant, humid breath of a state that had forgotten to evolve past the 90s. Wade sat behind the wheel of a 1998 beige minivan, a vehicle that possessed all the structural integrity of a wet cardboard box and was currently missing its sliding door, providing a panoramic view of the passing cornfields. He had recently taken a job as a contractual mail carrier, mostly because he'd heard they had great benefits and he really liked the idea of those tiny blue shorts. Naturally, the venture ended in a glorious government-funded disaster. Wade had been fired after only 3 days for reckless endangerment of the correspondence. "I told them, Wade! I told them it was about efficiency!" he shouted to the empty passenger seat, gesturing wildly. "I tried to explain that if I drift the minivan around the cul-de-sac at 60 miles per hour, the centrifugal force makes the mail practically deliver itself through the open windows. It's called tactical mail distribution. But no. Apparently, Mrs. Higgins didn't appreciate her Social Security check being delivered via a high-speed projectile through her flower bed. They have no vision, no passion for the craft." He sighed, hitting the dashboard. "Well, look on the bright side. We're in the middle of nowhere. The gas light has been blinking for 20 miles like a panicked firefly, and the only radio station playing is what sounds like a goat having a very public panic attack over a techno beat. At least it can't get any worse." Suddenly, a loud, rhythmic honk honk shattered the silence. A rusted, hulking green truck, a monstrosity of pre-war steel and jagged edges, roared up his bumper. The license plate was a hand-etched warning, "Beaten." The truck slammed into the minivan's rear, sending a jolt through Wade's spine that felt like a lightning bolt made of tetanus. "Whoa, hey!" Wade yelled, his head snapping back. "What is this, the 10th installment? Fast and furiously jerky? Look at this guy. He's trying to pit maneuver a minivan. He's up on the nitro, Dom Toretto. We don't have a family. We have a missing sliding door and a glove box full of expired ketchup packets. Is he trying to live his life a quarter mile at a time, or just turn me into a red and black accordion? You're speeding in a school zone, buddy." Well, it's a corn zone, but still, the stalks have ears. They're listening. The truck rammed him again, harder this time. A dark figure draped in a tattered duster and a wide-brimmed hat leaned out of the truck's window. He didn't yell, he just inhaled. A terrifying, wet snort echoed over the roar of the engines. Wade pulled over, mostly because the minivan's engine had finally decided to commit suicide in a cloud of oily black smoke. He stepped out onto the gravel, dusting off his red spandex and checking to see if his Golden Gals commemorative coin was still in his pouch. The rusted truck screeched to a halt, kicking up a wall of dust that smelled like old blood and transmission fluid. "Okay, listen, Leatherface's skinny cousin," Wade shouted as the dust settled. "I don't have any money. I don't even have a full set of kidneys right now. Shout out to Snake. Hope he enjoys the singing. If you're looking for a hitchhiker to murder, I have a very high-maintenance personality, and I will talk the entire time we're in the basement. I have a 45-minute monologue about why Paddington 2 is a masterpiece of modern cinema, and I am not afraid to use it." The figure stepped out of the truck. This was the Creeper. He stood tall and gaunt, his skin resembling ancient sun-dried jerky that had been left in a gutter for a century. He moved with a jerky, predatory grace, sniffing the air again. His nostrils flared, pulsing with a rhythmic, sickening hunger. The Creeper's eyes widened. He didn't smell fear. He didn't smell the sweet, metallic tang of adrenaline. Instead, he smelled tumors.
and gunpowder, and a very specific brand of extra spicy corn chips that Wade had eaten for breakfast. "What's the matter, bird brain?" Deadpool leaned against the smoking minivan, crossing his arms. "Do I smell like your ex-wife? Or is it the eau de cancer I'm rocking today? It's a very exclusive scent, hard to get, even harder to get rid of. It's the gift that keeps on giving, like a timeshare in Florida, or that one U2 album Apple forced onto everyone's iPhone in 2014. The creeper hissed, revealing rows of needle-like teeth that looked like they'd never seen a toothbrush. With a sudden supernatural burst of speed, he lunged. His clawed hand ripped straight through Deadpool's chest, plunging through the spandex and ribs, and pull out a dripping, steaming lung. Deadpool looked down at the gaping, gory hole in his torso. "Hey, I was using that for breathing and singing show tunes. You have any idea how hard it is to hit the high notes in Wicked with only one bellows? You just ruined my rendition of Defying Gravity, you uncultured swamp moth." The creeper held the lung up to his face, sniffing it deeply. He took a massive experimental bite. Immediately, his face contorted into a mask of pure, unadulterated disgust. His yellow eyes rolled back. He gagged, his entire body shuddering with a violent rejection. He spat the piece of lung onto the gravel with a wet splat and began frantically wiping his tongue with a clawed finger, looking like he'd just swallowed a mouthful of liquid copper and battery acid. "Yeah, that's what I thought," Wade remarked, his chest already squelching and popping as the lung began to grow back in real time. "I'm grade D meat, pal. I'm the stuff they turn into school cafeteria nuggets. I'm basically a walking biohazard with a quippy attitude. My cells are like tiny, angry ninjas. You try to eat one, and the whole dojo fights back."
The creeper wasn't used to food that talked back or tasted like a chemical spill. Frustrated and starving, he grabbed Wade by the throat and slammed him against the beat Engu truck, the metal denting under the force. He pulled out a jagged, handcrafted bone knife, aiming it directly at Wade's white lenses. "Whoa, easy on the peepers!" Deadpool yelled. He reached into a tactical pouch, which logically shouldn't have been able to fit much, and pulled out a pair of novelty googly eye glasses. With a quick flick, he slapped them onto the creeper's ancient face. "There! Now you look like a very stressed accountant on a very bad vacation. I'm sorry, Mr. Henderson, but your tax returns are to die for. See? It works." The creeper let out a guttural roar of fury, ripping the glasses off and throwing them into the cornfield. He backed away, his duster fluttering as his massive, leathery wings spread out from his back. They flapped with a sound like wet sheets in a hurricane, kicking up a wind that smelled of mothballs and death. "Oh, we're doing the wings now. Very Jeepers Creepers, too. A big derivative, don't you think?" Wade pulled out his katanas, the steel gleaming in the twilight. "I'm a licensed barber in 3 states and a wanted man in 47. I call this look the Falling Angel, but with more property damage." Wade lunged, his blades a blur of silver. He sliced deep into the creeper's wing, but the creature didn't bleed red. It bled a thick, black tar. No matter how many times Wade slashed, the creeper simply absorbed the damage, the wounds closing almost as fast as Wade's did. It was like fighting a very angry, very old leather sofa that had somehow gained sentience and a hunger for shins. The creeper snatched one of Wade's katanas out of the air and snapped it like a toothpick. "Hey, those are professional grade. I got those on sale at a Renaissance fair." Wade pouted. "You know, you're real grumpy for someone who only gets to come out every 23 years. If I were you, I'd be hitting the beach, maybe getting a tan, or at least using some heavy-duty moisturizer. Your skin is flaking, babe. It's a tragedy. You're literally ashier than a charcoal grill."
The creeper realized he couldn't eat Wade Wilson. Every part he took tasted like poison and regenerated within seconds. But the creeper was a predator. He didn't know how to quit. In a fit of supernatural pique, he grabbed Wade by the waist, spread his wings, and soared high into the Ohio sky. They rose past the clouds, the wind whistling through Wade's mask. At 500 feet, the creeper simply let go. Wade hit the ground with a sickening, wet crunch, turning into a red puddle of spandex, shattered bone, and pulped organs. The impact left a small crater in the dirt road. The creeper landed gracefully next to the pile, his wings folding back into his duster. He stood over the mess, waiting. He was waiting for the fear, the final delicious scent of a dying soul. Suddenly, Wade's head, which was currently facing backward and resting on his own shoulder blade, blinked. "Phew, that was a rush," he croaked, his voice sounding like a blender full of glass. "I'm like a budget version of the Hulk crashing through Doctor Strange's skylight in Infinity War. Thanos is coming. Someone call Wong and tell him I need a tuna melt and a new spine. Also, to the guy narrating this, Hulk wasn't in the Invincibles movie. That's a whole different flavor of superhero trauma. Get your cinematic universes straight, or I'll start reciting the script for Green Lantern." Wade's spine snapped back into place with a series of loud, sickening bops. His ribs knitted, his legs straightened, and he stood up, shaking himself out like a wet dog. "You see, Creepy, here's the problem," Wade said, stepping directly into the creeper's personal space, his mask inches from the creature's sniffing nose. "You're a horror icon. You're built on mystery, fear, and a really cool truck. But I'm built on annoying the ever-living crap out of everyone I meet. You can't kill me, and I can't kill you because you've got that supernatural plot armor thing going on. We're just two immortal idiots standing in a cornfield. So we have two choices." The creeper tilted his head, a low, vibrating growl echoing in his chest. "Choice A, we fight for the next 23 days until your timer runs out and you go back into your hole. But I promise you I will talk the entire time. I will explain the entire plot of the Twilight Saga in detail. I'll even do the voices for Edward and Jacob. I'll even debate the philosophical implications of Team Switzerland. It will be exquisite agony, and not the kind you like." The creeper's yellow eyes flickered with a hint of genuine, existential dread. "Choice B, you let me hitch a ride in that sweet truck of yours to the nearest town. I'll even let you have one of my ears as a souvenir. It'll grow back and it'll taste like copper and regret, but hey, it's a snack for the road." The creeper looked at the red-clad lunatic. He looked at the 23-year cycle he was currently wasting on a man who had begun singing the Jeepers Creepers theme song, but was replacing every other word with "Deadpool is awesome" and "I need a burrito."
The creeper let out a long, weary hiss, a sound of total, crushing defeat. He realized that for the first time in 1,000 years, he wasn't the scariest thing in the woods. He turned around, climbed back into his rusted truck, and slammed the heavy metal door. He didn't even look back as he floored the engine. The beating U truck roared to life, leaving a massive cloud of black smoke and the smell of burning rubber as it sped away into the night. "Hey, wait! You didn't even give me the dramatic third-act exposition dump!" Wade yelled, running after the truck for a few feet before stopping and waving a hand. "You're leaving the audience with way too many unanswered questions. How am I supposed to know your tragic backstory or why you're so obsessed with mid-century jazz? That's how you get a reboot nobody asked for, you winged drama queen." The truck vanished into the horizon, the taillights fading into the dark Ohio mist. Wade sighed, looking down at his ruined, smoking minivan. "Well, Wade," he said to himself, kicking a straight higher, "another successful interaction. We didn't get eaten, we saved a lung, and we're only slightly more homeless than we were 10 minutes ago. All in a day's work." He reached into his pocket and pulled out his cracked smartphone, hitting the record button. He held it up, the screen illuminating his mask. "Hey, pool heads! Quick update! Just met the local wildlife. 1 out of 5 stars on Yelp. The wings were cool, but the service was terrible, the ambiance was early trench, and the appetizer tried to eat me. Talk about a role reversal. On the bright side, I've got 22 years and 364 days to plan my revenge. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and never, ever let a demon taste your liver. It makes the subsequent brunch very awkward." Wade started walking down the desolate road, whistling a jaunty tune and wondering if there was a hot dog stand nearby that was hiring people with healing factors and limitless charisma.